What's your favorite scary movie, Josh?
Not Scream.
Wrong answer. You knew this was coming.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ritual Chamber. I am Josh, this is Jeff. Sorry that it's been a while. We were both in an isolation period.
Much like the rest of the world, much like the Rona as well.
Yes, exactly.
I went 2 years, vaxxed and boosted, still got it, but I was fine.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years for me as well.
Yeah.
And then, eventually, just like, like you said, it's like everyone else, we eventually succumbed to, to the virus. Not too pleasant of a time, but it is what it is.
I just had a week off work and I was fine.
So, I quarantined at home and worked from home, so whatever. But that's neither here nor there, because today we are here to talk about Scream.
Scream 2022.
Is that what we call it? Scream?
I mean, I'm just going to call it Scream 2022.
I think that's...
Because when I was looking it up on Wikipedia, it's easier to look it up that way.
Yeah, and it's Scream.
It's Scream, because,
we all scream.
Because Halloween did it, they called the new Halloween, so why not just call Scream?
Okay,
whatever.
So let's...
This is Scream 5.
Okay, and...
Ladies and gentlemen, count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
sorry.
Nice. That's
Little
a good
Sesame
reference.
Street. Little Sesame Street got in there.
So,
okay.
Tell us about Scream.
Let's go in the summary.
Breakdown.
It's 25 years after the original incident that inspired several copycat killers to stalk Sidney Prescott and her friends, when a new killer shows up, donning the Ghostface mask, and stalks another group of teenagers. That sparks the surviving trio from the previous films to return to Woodsboro and try and help and save them to stop everything going on, and they discover a pretty unexpected tie to their own past. So Ghostface, just like a bad case of herpes, keeps coming around and fucking up teens.
You don't say.
I do. I do say.
So, Scream. I was really excited for this movie because obviously the original was like, that was our generation's horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it was so unique at the time, and it was done so well. The twists, and it was. It's touted as. It was an instant classic.
Yeah.
And I think that with the Scream franchise, they really just kind of did what they do with a lot of franchises now and run it into the fucking ground. To the point where you're like, I don't know if this is even enjoyable anymore. And it kind of also taints the original a little bit. I
disagree. I don't think it taints the original. I think it relies too heavily on the original.
Wolf.
A little bit.
Uh-huh.
I still really liked it. It's just... Scream was the first movie to be very self-referential and very meta. The problem with the Scream franchise, and I do love the Scream franchise, don't get me wrong, I do love it. It's one of my favorite horror franchises, as we did a list in a previous video. But I am not going to go back and try to find it and edit it. So just don't worry about that.
Oh, it's hack.
The one problem that at least with... I mean, it sparked this in a lot of later horror movies. Is trying to be too meta and trying to recreate that. I mean, there was the urban legend films, the I Know What You Did Last Summer films.
Yeah.
Just really copycat. I mean, they were fucking Ghostface. They were copycatting what Scream did, just being self-referential and very meta. Scream has just gotten so over the top meta when it comes to their references, both to real life movies and stuff, and then also their own films, and then so much so that it's a joke, not a joke, but a plot point of all the films is the stab films. Which are based off of the events of Scream, of the incidences in the Scream films. Yeah, it's super meta.
So I mean, eventually we've created a multiverse within Scream here.
No, it's like a picture inside of a picture of the same picture.
Yeah.
Like just
a diorama inside of a diorama of a diorama.
Yeah.
So I think with this movie, obviously, with the announcement and the trailer, I was really excited to.
Oh, I was excited when they found out they were making another one anyways, because I actually really like all of them. My only downs are really that the meta-ness, the two being a little bit too meta sometimes. But I really like the last one. A lot of people didn't like the last one, which is kind of an ongoing joke and plot in this one. Not plot, but an ongoing thing that they're referencing that a lot of people didn't like the last one, because in this one a big plot point is the fans hated the last Stab movie.
Yes. So that being said, I mean, with this movie again, I was excited to see it, and this is one of the movies that we actually didn't watch together.
No, we did not.
And
I watched it all by myself.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You and probably a couple thousand other people, because this movie was fucking terrible.
No, it actually broke. I might be misquoting this, but I know it broke. It finally broke Spider-Man: No Way Home's box office leading. It didn't break their records, but it broke their lead.
There had to be another movie that would come in eventually that would take that out.
Yeah, I know.
It's been in theaters for 2 months now. So with Scream, I mean,
stop just bagging on it. Let's get into it.
I'm trying to. So with Scream, I thought this movie. One thing that I'm just not a huge fan of is when directors come in and try to basically recreate something that's already been done. And this movie did that pretty much with the opening scene to a T, just modernizing it with technology.
Because that's literally every Scream movie. I mean, it's
I know, but it was this was
you kind of have to.
This was more so than any of the other ones.
I get it, but I get what you're saying. We'll digress. We'll digress for now and move on. So the opening kill, or maybe attacking.
Yeah, the opening attacking. I mean, but here's the thing that I did like about the opening scene is it did have that nostalgic feel. It didn't get...
The chick had a landline. That was nostalgic.
Yeah, well, for real, right? Yeah. 2020 called. I mean, 2000 called.
2000 called.
But, yeah. I agree with that, and
can we get on a party line later?
Yeah. We'll have a LAN party. So, with that, I did think the opening sequence was done very well, and I was actually really excited for this movie.
Yeah, and it was a little bit different because this time the phone call, the killer on the other end, which it dawned on me later, it totally spoils one of the killers is. That's not a spoiler yet. Well, obviously we're going to be doing a lot of spoilers, but that's not a spoiler because it's a Scream movie and there's always two killers. Yeah. Except for part 3. There was only part 3.
Mm-hmm. And so that leads us to finding out essentially that leads to the main character being introduced. Mm-hmm. Finding out that her sister had been attacked, and then she was going to go visit her and take care of her. And that kind of takes us into the narrative of this movie.
Yeah, I must say though, before we get too far, the worst actress of all time. I've only ever seen her in one other thing, which was In the Heights, which is amazing, but it's a musical, so she would have to rely on her acting chops. Mm-hmm. Oof.
The sister, the younger sister.
No, the older sister. The younger sister was in You.
Oh, yeah.
She was great.
She was great. No, she is in You. Yeah.
No, the older sister was... Melissa Barrera.
Yeah, the older sister was bad.
Was the older one too? Oh, really? Huh, don't remember that. I only remember... fucking terrible.
That's we're getting some off camera guidance here. So yeah, that leads into essentially Act 1 of this movie, which is the sister returning to Woodsboro,
dealing with that and dealing with the awkwardness of her, having to deal with her sister and having the friends clearly. Some of the friends like her still because they just remember her as their babysitter, and then others being very protective of their friend, which is nice, but some of them they show their hands. Let's put it that way.
Yes, and I with this movie. That being said,
let's talk about their friends real quick. The most unlikable people on the fucking planet. I wanted every single one of them to bite it. Like every single one. And it's 2020. Who's bleaching their tips?
Well, I mean, we also...
Who's bleaching their tips like they're in a boy band?
But one thing to consider is we live in Orange County, so we're probably 10 years fashionably removed from other places.
Yeah, maybe.
So in Woodsboro, that's an area where people are clearly bleaching their tips.
Yeah.
And which is unfortunate because the actor that played that character, he's actually...
I love him. He's really good.
He's really good in a lot of stuff. And I felt in this movie...
I meant to write down his name and I forgot.
Not only was he underutilized, but it also...
Well, actually,
I didn't like his character.
No, he was a fucking mama's boy pansy.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
But that he did have one of the best scenes in the movie. But we'll wait till that we get there to talk about it. He definitely did have one of the best scenes in the movie, though. But yeah, so then we get this strange reveal that I'm not gonna lie, for about 20 minutes of the movie broke my brain because I'm not good at math. That Sam is Billy Loomis's daughter.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not great at math, which sucks because that's my fucking job. But I have a calculator, so whatever. But I was, for like 10 minutes, just breaking my brain that, wait, but she's like 23 or 20 or something. But like Billy Loomis in high school. What? Yeah, I realized that, the original Scream came out 24 years ago, so she could easily be 20 fucking 3.
Yes, yes.
I felt so dumb when I realized that.
And you know what I thought was...
I don't know why. It's like, I think it's one of those things where, because, we're near middle-aged.
Yes.
I am.
Yes.
You're a little, not very far behind me.
I am not.
And so, but I still feel like I'm in my 20s. So it just
100%.
So
100%.
1996 feels so long ago.
Absolutely.
But it's not really.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a digression.
And I think that with the reveal of her being Billy Loomis's kid, well, I guess kids because the both of them are.
No, only him.
Only her.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah, because that would have really broke my brain if the younger one was.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Just ghosting
him.
But
they're trying to do this like ghosting him.
I don't know. She's seeing visions of him, maybe. Which I know was a weird choice. I did think that was a weird choice too, to have that be how it was revealed. Like, she's having visions of him.
But they're trying to do this like classic misdirection, and then they were almost trying to do this like play off of like Dexter, kind of like Harry's relation to Dexter. Like,
I think it was more of a play.
Like her conscience,
definitely.
or like her,
or like
her another personality, or her guidance, or something.
Or like Psycho, like
exactly.
But hey, good on Skeet Ulrich for getting some work.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't seen him in a long time.
He was in Riverdale for
I wasn't gonna watch the tween drama about fucking Archie.
I mean, it was good up until it was okay. It was okay until
No.
You know what? It was better than this movie.
When I realized that was Vampire Diaries Archie, fuck that.
So
fuck that all the way in its face violently.
But also, Skeet looked pretty good in this.
Well,
what?
There's been some CGI and maybe a little bit of a...
Well, yeah, but he looked all right.
Yeah.
So, then obviously the sister returns to Woodsboro, and, this is kind of where the movie starts to unfold. We get these, again, Ghostface is back, and we're not really sure why. Other than it's I believe it's the anniversary of...
No. That was actually in the last movie. It was the anniversary.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
This one. Yeah, that was another thing. It took a while for me to kind of piece together what was going on, which kind of made the last scene kind of drag for me. Well, which again, we'll get there, but because I didn't quite see a reason. Whereas in at least the other films, it like in 2. The first Stab movie had just come out. In 3, they were making, I believe, the second Stab movie. In 4, it was the anniversary.
Okay,
so
that's right.
It did make sense for there to be a copycat killer. But yeah, leading up, it was kind of, there didn't seem to be any real reason why someone would be attacking people. I definitely loved Neve Campbell's line about when she asks... Dewey asks, "Do you have a gun?" He's like, "I'm Sidney fucking Prescott. Of course I have a gun."
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that,
we learned that Dewey is retired.
Retired.
And him and Gail have divorced.
Which
that was also weird, just only because it was it just seemed like the only reason they divorced was because they moved to New York and he couldn't hang in New York. He's a small town guy and just couldn't do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, like a bitch, just bails.
And living in a trailer.
Yeah, living in a trailer.
You know?
Just bails, but then watches her every day creepily on TV.
Yes,
every time she's on her show.
Well, I mean, but that's always been Dewey's kind of character, is kind of an awkward weirdo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Small town guy.
Yeah,
so,
small town guy.
But one introduction, one character that I actually did like in this movie that I didn't end up liking at the end of the movie was Dennis Quaid's son. I forget his...
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid, there you go. Who's also in The Boys, which is a fantastic show. But he had this introduction as kind of this, I don't know anything about the Stab franchise. You know, like he was an oblivious character.
He spends most of the movie just
researching Stab
movies.
You know, so let's move on then a little bit with this, and basically that's how the first act introduces itself, and we'll go ahead and move into the second act if you want to kind of just dive into it a little bit.
Yeah, so I guess I would call the second act is after kind of really, it's really hard to say, but I think the second act is just once they get there and they decide to reveal that Sam is Billy's daughter.
Yeah.
And they go to meet Dewey. We learn what has been going on with Sydney and Gail and Dewey. And then we get, basically then we get the normal thing you get in a Scream movie where everybody gets together, talks about the rules of horror movies, and tries to. I thought it was weird. They keep changing it a lot. Like when Dewey explains the rules, it's like it's always a love interest or something, and of course he's immediately suspicious of Richie, Jack Quaid, and I can't remember all the rules now because they kind of changed them so many times. I thought it was funny I thought it was really funny that the twins, the fucking most unlikable fucking cast of characters, except for the twins. Actually, I take it back. The twins were okay. The twins were fine, but they were the niece and nephew of Randy.
Yes.
And Randy's sister was mom, Heather Matarazzo. Returns as Randy's sister, which she does in like 3 movies just for like one scene.
One scene,
I think even in Scream 3, she literally just walks in real quick and then walks out, and that's exactly what she does again in this movie. Just walks in, walks out. And again, it's this movie does just follow a lot of the same beats as every other Scream movie.
Yes.
So it's kind of hard to really even pad down where the act breaks are.
And I think that's kind of with me in this movie.
Which I meant to try to actually do that.
That's kind of what made this movie tired for me. Is this movie felt very like it was sticking to the first movie's kind of script. You have you're bringing a bunch of teenagers together that are friends, and
as we learn later,
and you have the one that everybody suspects might be a little off the rails because in this case she is the one that is accusing everybody else of being the killer, and you know what I mean. Yeah. So it kind of follows those same later,
there's kind of a reason for that. And I didn't mind that. I mean, especially when it gets to the explanation. I just thought the explanation dragged on a little bit too long. But it's really hard to get into an act break type of structure because it's just literally that. I think once you get that reveal and Sam gets in town, it's just mayhem it's just people just dying. I mean, what was the guy who dies in the parking lot? I forgot his name. I've seen him a bunch of stuff and I really like him. And it turned out he was like Stu's nephew or
that's right. Yeah.
So everybody's connected.
Everybody has a
connective tie to, and that's where I started picking up. Okay, that's kind of somewhere where they're going with this. That's sort of the reason. But now, where's the actual reason?
And then
I love the twins' explanation of always an explanation about how horror movies work in every Scream movie. And the one thing I did like and kind of didn't like was the discussion about quote unquote elevated horror, because that's been a conversation topic for a lot recently, but with with Jordan Peele, a lot of the the guy who made like Lars von Trier, a lot of directors who were making quote unquote elevated horror, which is cool. I do like that, and I think in all horror you can glean some kind of psychological something or some kind of deeper meaning always. So I just don't like the idea of elevated horror being like a thing, because all horror has always been elevated. It's never just been people killing people for no reason. I mean, obviously really bad movies, yes, but
The Strangers, that's the plot, and it's amazing.
Yeah, but I'm talking, if you think about it deeper, you can deconstruct it into into an intellectual.
Yeah, no,
absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that.
That's really what I'm saying, is the idea of them talking about elevated horror as if horror hasn't always been elevated in a way, in one way or another. If you can deconstruct it, and you more often than not can. I did like the explanations of a requel.
Yes, I know.
I was really glad they didn't use Cebu.
Yes, because you know what? We would have been coming after you.
Too much cheddar cheese.
Yeah, requel. I don't think. It
doesn't sound as good.
It doesn't. And it was funny because as we were watching this movie in the theater, when I heard the word requel, I instantly thought of Cebu, and I was like, "Oh man!" I was like, "This is great."
Oh no! I was sitting there. Don't say Cebu, please. Don't say Cebu. But that was great. So with the deaths, we'll get into it. One of the greatest scenes in the entire movie is when the character whose name his name was Wes in the movie, or no, I think his name's Wes in real life. One or the other, one of the two. When he bites it,
yes,
and not only because how he bit it, because he kind of goes out pretty easily, which a lot of people in this movie do.
Yes.
A lot of people like it, which is every horror movie, so I'm okay with it. It's like he gets stabbed like through the neck right here, so he could have just done that. But what was great about that scene was that they pulled the old classic, like just building the tension by hiding doorways or like hallways with something, like a door. Like he opens the fridge, and he's lingering in the fridge, and you're just waiting for Ghostface to pop up. And they did it like 4 times, and every time it's just like, is this gonna be it? Is this gonna be it? And that was really cool. I thought that was really cool, because it was that was doing what you do best, but also subverting expectations and letting the audience linger for a little bit and let the tension build. Yeah,
and then which leading to when he does die, it actually like that moment gets fulfilled. Yeah, absolutely.
And then right before that, his mom dies. And even again, that whole sequence, his mom, who's also the sheriff, and she was in part 4. She was the deputy in part 4. That whole sequence, even with her death, that was like just subverting expectations. You're expecting him to get killed in the shower. Yeah. Because he says, "Have you seen Psycho?" And it shows the shower head. Does all the classic things.
Yeah.
And no, she just comes running up, and he's just standing right there and just fucking nails her, and then goes in the house, and then you get the great scene of the kid opening doors and shutting them, and no one being there.
And that was one thing that I did like about this particular scene that we're talking about in general, was that it took place in the daytime.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
like, I thought that was
Ghostface standing up on the porch just straight up in the daytime.
Yeah, in the daytime, pretty unique. The fact that this is going on in a neighborhood, and like realistically, I mean, I thought that was cleverly done, because if you think about it, I mean that could happen, but like the odds of it happening are very rare.
And especially in a small town, there's definitely some old lady looking through her window and sees that.
Yeah, with like 9 cats, like maybe looking for
some quotes.
Realizing that one of her cats is actually not inside eating right now, goes to check on it, and there's a guy with a ghost face mask and a knife standing on someone's porch. Yeah, I mean, but that was actually a really good scene in this movie that I actually did really enjoy, and I do think that with this movie, the aspects that I did enjoy of it were that it revisited those aspects.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You you like it, but it feels tired sometimes.
Yes,
but it's horror, and I love horror.
And I think that with what this movie did well was tapping into the nostalgic of the feel of the first one, but making it a little bit more fresh with this, a little bit more. You know, a little dash.
And, you know, then the saddest death, our iconic hero, Dewey.
Yeah, I mean, look.
That was the most brutal death in the entire movie.
It was, but I mean, let's be honest. For Dewey, it was time.
Oh no! It was
like
time.
This dude had been stabbed, and so many times it was coming.
No,
it was coming.
I think one of them even made a joke about it. Like, I've been stabbed 7 times.
Exactly.
You know, like I'm not going in there alone, or I'm not going back there. I've been stabbed 7 times.
Yeah, and but it was a good send off for David Arquette playing Dewey, mm-hmm. but it was also a sad moment, kind of in the franchise, because, I mean. Again, he's one of the most iconic characters.
Yeah,
him
and Gale had just reconnected.
Mm-hmm.
The great moment of, you send me a text. I was like, you were on the air. How do you know that? I just figured. but yeah, then you get the explanation of why they got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and they just had this like kind of great reconnecting moment, and apologizing to each other, and you're kind of like, ooh, you're the romantic of you is going, ooh, are they gonna get back together? And then he just fucking bites it. And when
mm-hmm.
Ghostface says it was an honor, as he's like literally just jamming 2 knives, like lifting him off the ground, basically cutting him in half.
Yeah,
it was like brutal and heart touching. Heartfelt, heartbreaking.
Heartfelt, yeah.
It was emotional.
Little, you know.
And of course, him being the consummate hero, I don't know why they just didn't leave the elevator door open. Like, just, okay, fine, go shoot him in the face. But, like, can you shoot him from, like, 10 feet away and then come back?
Yeah.
And we'll just hold the elevator.
Yeah.
That way, if he does get up, you can run.
Yeah.
But, horror movie, dumb people.
I mean, look, this movie has literally made mentions as to why you don't do those things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, again, to see, a titular hero throughout this franchise go out that way is very befitting of this movie.
That brings Sydney back into Woodsboro, which she had said, I'm never stepping foot in that town again. But, for Dewey, she's mm-hmm. definitely coming back, which I don't know exactly where she lives, but she got there real fucking fast.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Dewey called you this morning and you said, I'm never coming back. You found out he died 20 minutes ago,
and you were there.
Where the fuck are you coming from?
No, and so with this, I mean,
she unlocked fast travel. I mean, she survived enough. She's unlocked fast travel.
Fast travel, yeah. It was good to see Neve Campbell reprise that mm-hmm. role of Sidney Prescott in this movie, because I think that she obviously, this franchise is really based off of her and Billy Loomis.
Yeah.
Primarily. Their characters together, and then the lineage of those characters.
Yeah. Well, that's this whole movie.
It's literally this whole movie.
That's where we end up. We end up, shockingly, in the same house, Stu Macher's house from the first one.
Yes.
Same kind of scenario. That
mm-hmm.
They're having a party to stay together.
Yep.
Have everybody stay together. There's no curfew this time around, but
yes. Mm-hmm.
they're having a party to stay together and try to stay safe. And of course, as per usual, the killer is the one throwing the party.
Yeah, and so
which again, that was such. I didn't like that character in fucking first place. She was a bitch. But hey, she needs to get her inhaler. Okay, party's over, everyone leave. Why? You guys were staying together to stay safe, right? Let the party go.
And so,
and then Richie immediately turning into dad mode, going, everybody out, everybody out. I was like, okay, I think I got it now.
So, this would, I think, bring us into the third act right here, was the end of this movie, and I felt from the beginning that I watched this movie, and one thing I think that why I wasn't super excited about it was I instantly felt that Richie was one of the killers,
mm-hmm.
and then upon the introduction of whoever plays
I think her name was Amanda or Amber.
Yeah. I instantly thought she was the killer too.
No.
And so when that reveal came out, I was not surprised.
I mean, I still... So I definitely thought she was at least one of them. I was kind of hoping there was only one killer, maybe more, maybe three. Because they've toyed with that, like in 3 there was supposed to be 3 killers.
Yeah.
But that was a whole thing. Kevin Williamson was too busy writing Dawson's Creek because he was the writer on 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He did not return to write this one either. But he worked on the script for 3, but then they kept having like people come in and try and help because he was too busy writing Dawson's Creek. But yeah, again, it's just what. Only point to that is that there was going to be 3 killers in 3. But so I was hoping for 3 killers. But I'd say this: the one thing that it didn't hit me at the time, but I realized it after the reveal that
you were talking about this earlier.
Yeah. After in the very first phone call, they didn't do the normal thing where he's straight up going Ghostface voice.
Yeah.
First thing, he's stammering, and it's like Jack Quaid's exact cadence.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
okay.
You know, he stammers a lot. And he sort of nervous talks.
Yes.
And once he was revealed as the killer, I was like, oh man, it gave it away in the first fucking scene because literally he talks exactly like Jack Quaid.
Really? Okay, so I didn't catch that, and I'm gonna, unfortunately, this is not on my rewatch list.
I mean,
so I won't.
It's going in the collection.
I won't ever, revisit that to catch that, but I will take your word for it.
And then we pretty much get beat for beat we
get beat for beat literally the first movie. We get the first Scream.
Yeah.
And again, I think...
And we also get another character who you thought died and then revealed that he lived.
He lived, yeah.
I was glad the twins lived at least.
Yes, I was too, because they were... I feel like they were, obviously outside of the original trio, I do feel that they were the only likable characters in this movie.
The guy, the other guy, Wes, he was likable too, but again, he's just a nimby pains.
Well, I mean, I think he's likable because of what I've seen him in other things.
Yeah, no, he's a good actor.
So I liked him in that aspect, but I mean, realistically, in this movie, his character was unlikable.
Yeah.
And so that does bring us to the end, and you get this tired reason of,
Yeah, the reasoning of it, that's where this movie sort of lost me, is the reasoning it being that the last Stab movie was so bad that they wanted to kill everybody to inspire them to make a better Stab movie.
Yeah. I mean, and it's...
Like, what?
And again, all it really does at this point is it's Stab 1.
Yeah.
They're basically just like, give us Stab 1.
Yeah.
Let's erase everything that Stab has created and give us Stab 1. And then this movie was literally doing the same thing.
They literally talk about it several times about making reboots or requels to ignore sequels and stuff like that. But they talk about toxic fandom, which we wanted to talk about.
We will one of these days.
One of these days, maybe when we decide to stop reviewing movies.
Yeah, because they do. They bring up that idea of toxic fandom and but it just.
But he's got a good point actually. He's like, how can fandom be toxic? It's about love, and like if you love something. However, okay, well, let's go on a quick rant about toxic fandom.
Okay,
this. Being a fan of something doesn't give you ownership of it.
Absolutely not.
I'm sorry. Like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, or The Hobbit, or whatever thing that people have loved and cherished for years. Just because you love and cherish it doesn't give you ownership of it.
Absolutely.
And if you don't like a new iteration or a new, like a sequel or a new entry into that franchise, then just don't fucking watch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't send hate tweets to creators who are out there creating something while you're sitting on their fucking phone. Or just know that, okay, might not be my favorite, but this is a franchise I love. At least this is something new in this franchise, and I get something new.
Yeah, and I think with that too, I mean...
Because it's the same people who bitch about there never being anything new, but then won't go see new things in the theaters.
Exactly.
It was Ben Affleck just came out saying something about, movies in the theaters are going to be basically for franchise films, superhero movies, which are also franchise films, and nothing else, because people they say they want something new, but they don't. They don't want anything new. They want the exact same thing over and over and over again. And that's fine. Get your collection and fucking just watch everything over again. Problem is there's way too much content coming out at all times.
Yes.
And we're just bombarded.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. And with toxic fandom, you know, I also with the ownership comes this idea, which I am not a really big fan of, at least on my aspect of when we talk about toxic fandom, is people having this ownership and not wanting to allow other people to take part in it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I like the least.
That's what I'm saying.
It's there for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody should be able to enjoy it. If you enjoy it, and my one thing that I don't like when it comes to that is we get out of our toxic fandom talk,
this is a quick rate.
Is that wouldn't you want more people to like it? Then you have more people to celebrate it with.
Yeah.
Why is that a bad idea?
Yeah. I mean, you didn't
Share it.
You didn't create
You didn't create it.
Yeah, you didn't create that story.
Yeah.
So
And if you wanted
like
to and you
it,
didn't
don't-
want people to like it, then keep it to yourself.
Yeah. I
Nobody
mean-
wants to see it or hear about it.
yeah. I mean, I mean, the biggest one I can mention of late is, of course, The Last Jedi, which I actually still enjoyed. I get
Yeah,
that.
it's all right.
You know, the problem is they didn't have a plan. That's it.
Yeah,
they just didn't have a plan.
Hey, making too many director changes
Yeah,
within
they didn't have a
three
plan,
movies,
but
you got to stick to something.
On its own merit, it is actually a fairly good movie, and it's very Star Wars. A lot of people bitched about the casino scene. Like, that basic scene is in every single Star Wars movie.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
what are you complaining about? Mm-hmm. Like, again, it's like you're getting something new, but you're also getting fucking the same thing. Why are you complaining so much? Anywho, that ends our toxic fandom rant. But that was the thing. Like the end explanation, and it goes on forever. I felt like
It was absolutely the longest
yeah.
feeling part of
Yeah,
the movie.
no, it was.
I don't know if it was the longest part of the movie. Like, honestly, I really don't. But the explanation was it did feel the longest.
Yeah.
Like, it really
I didn't look
it
up the
really,
actual.
it
Yeah.
really dragged.
I didn't look up the actual runtime, but I know
Yeah.
that my showing started at 6. There was about 5 trailers, and I got out almost exactly at 8 o'clock on the button. So it was, but it did feel longer because of that end
I
scene.
mean, let's assume that this movie is roughly 1 hour 30 minutes in play time.
1:30.
I want to say
Maybe a little bit less.
the ending was like 1/3 of this movie.
No, probably.
the explanation.
Which kind of again goes to copying. I mean, I don't want to say copying, but paying homage to Scream 1 because that scene is that party scene is. That is the third act of that film.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's a whole party. It's not just their explanation about it.
Yeah, exactly. And also with the original, I mean, the one thing that I think the reason why it has lived up so well, not lived up so well, it's why its fucking words stood up.
Yeah.
Stood up so well. Held up so well. Ah.
Or fondly remembered.
Fondly remembered. There you go. The reason why it's fondly remembered or held up so well is because of the fact that when that came out, it was such a new idea.
Oh, it was fresh.
It was fresh. And so that works. That works. This, because this is essentially the 5th installment in this franchise, it doesn't work. And it didn't work for me.
Yeah, I'm glad though at least they didn't go down the requel lane or that route because I would have been really mad had they done what they did with Halloween, make a sequel to the first one and wipes out 2, 3, and 4. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
It is definitely retreading a lot, which again, it's part of the Scream franchise, so I forgive it. That doesn't bother me at all because that's the Scream franchise's thing. It's bread and butter. The last little thing about the ending I do want to talk about, and it's sort of a weird thing about throughout the whole movie, and it is Billy Loomis's ghost thing.
The dark passenger.
Yeah, the dark passenger. Yeah, thank you. I forgot about that.
Well, we just rewatched the new one.
Sam the whole time is like, am I going to be a serial killer? Because my dad was a serial. No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, I mean, no.
And maybe you're seeing him because you spent your teens doing drugs because you were mad that your mom had a fucking affair in high school.
Yeah.
Like, big fucking deal. Fucking big deal. Grow up, you fucking baby. You ruined your sister's life and lost friends and ran off because you found out mommy fucking had a life before you. Jesus. But so with that is him showing up to point out where the knife is. I was like, that's an odd choice. Like, for a movie that's usually so grounded and very meta and very self-aware. That came out of nowhere for me. I was, what? It came out of nowhere when she first sees him and he's first
100%. That's where I mean, this movie got a little off the rails, and especially in this particular scene that you're mentioning, it got very off the rails. And I was thinking this. I think at that point I was literally in the theater laughing because I was like, "What the fuck is going on right now?" Like, I didn't know, and it was so hard at that point. Like, I'd already gone outside and had a cigarette because I was like, I'm not really into this. And then and I was just like, all right, I'm done. I'm out.
Sydney and Gale live.
And Gale live, of course. Which, I mean, it's. I feel like this movie and this franchise is expected.
I would have been fine had they killed off Gale. I think if they do make another one, they're definitely killing off one of them.
See, so the reason why I think
or both of them
they didn't is because if you really think about it, let's revisit the first movie for a second here. Mm-hmm. Like, Gale was like the antithesis of Sydney.
Yeah.
And so
but now they're best.
But now they're best, and that's why I think that's why they've kept them together.
Yeah.
Because they were, on opposing sides, and Gale obviously had this opinion of Sydney in the first movie, and
she even mentioned she never wrote that book about her mom.
Yeah, and so I think that's why they've continued to keep them along in like this kind of like buddy idea, and so it was fitting that they were the ones that survived, and it was fitting in this movie that Dewey was the one that perished,
because he almost dies in literally
every one of them. It was bound to fucking happen.
I think 4 is the only one where he gets out unscathed.
Yeah, but that being said, I mean,
with that, let's get into our monkeys.
We will. I just wanted to say, like, David Arquette, like, his character of Dewey is just it's iconic in horror.
I know, it's an iconic. It's an
great.
Iconic.
So
because he's the doofus in the first one that you totally expect to bite it.
He
almost does,
and becomes the savior.
Yeah, and he's like a perfect red herring too, because he's a doofus that you totally expect to die, but then he could you kind of have maybe he is the killer because maybe he's obsessed with Sydney or something.
Yeah.
And then going forward, he becomes just such a mentor to everybody and such a standout character and a protector of everybody, and so devoted to Sydney, to Gale, to all the kids in the rest of the movies. It's just really it was sad to see him go, but it was his time.
Bid you adieu.
So and on that, let's get on.
Let's get on the monkeys. So all right, as usual, I'm gonna start this off.
I mean, I can start it if you want to.
No, it's fine. I am going to give Scream a 3 out of 12. Scream 2022. The reason being is because, I mean, there's not a lot of movies that I see to where I'm literally like, I am so disengaged from this that I am willing to go outside and have a cigarette during it because that sounds more appetizing than watching this thing for 10 more minutes. So with this movie, I mean, re-talking about it, revisiting it right now, there were some things that I did like, but overall, just not enough to save this movie for me. It really just wasn't enjoyable. Totally predictable plot line for me, at least from the gate of this movie. If I could initially detect who I think the two killers are, and I told us all straight up, I was like, that's a killer and that's a killer.
You Dewey'd him?
And you nailed it on one? I nailed it on both of them. And sure enough, they were the killers. Yeah. And then when that happened, I wasn't surprised. again, revisiting the old one, she gets thrown on the fucking on the stove and she gets shot. She's up in flames, but then she comes out with the knife. She doesn't really look that burnt. Like she was like, you know what I mean? And
yeah, that was weird. That was weird.
Coming out with the knife, like and she's like, it's like, why is only like three-quarters of your face kind of like?
Well, also she gets fully set on fire, and you know when you die from being set on fire, it's not from the fire. It's because you suffocate.
It's because you suffocate.
So like she 100% isn't getting up and running at anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And so again, just a little cheesy for me. Played on a lot of tropes from the movies that came before it previously. Got a little bit tired for me. Just wasn't a fan. I was really hoping and expecting for something different with this, that they were gonna play akin to the original, but kind of try to freshen it up. So 3 out of 12 for me on the Monkeys. Sorry.
I mean that's a little bit low. I mean even for you.
I'm just saying.
Dirty muncher. I don't even know what that meant. I wrote down 10, but I'm actually gonna go with 9. A 9 out of 12 because obviously I really enjoyed it. It is a little bit long in the tooth when it comes to the explanation, and it was a little bit confusing at times. The whole Billy Loomis thing was weird. That was just a weird choice again. Yeah. And I said it before. It's just really a matter of the only reason I think it's that weird is because it's only a matter of the fact that for a series that's been so very grounded and very like realistic to have Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad.
You know,
Jello.
Oof, not that Ghost Dad.
I know, but
no one wants that Ghost Dad anymore. But yeah, having Ghost Dad was a weird choice. But again, like see Skeet Ulrich get some work. I don't give a shit about Riverdale.
Yeah.
Most of the actors were just awful. Like mainly it was like the slutty chick was awful. I can't remember her name. She was the slutty chick. Even though she has a boyfriend in the movie, but she also is like, they talk about how she like banged some like biker dude during summer. So you know she's the titular slutty chick in every horror movie. The main character Sam is just that she couldn't act. Like I don't know what, like every line reading they chose of hers was bad. And then Amber or Amanda, I can't remember. I meant to write it down. I forgot. She was like just so extremely unlikable, like viciously and like aggressively unlikable. But aside from that, I really enjoyed everything else. It just but again, fucking show me someone getting stabbed a bunch of times on screen, I'm down. Yeah,
and that's what I was gonna say. I'm not surprised that was your take on this. I'm really not. Yeah. All right, well, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Please make sure to like,
comment,
and subscribe. I tried to give us some space in there so we could throw in our animations a little bit less quickly with them popping up and you guys can actually see them.
You don't link them, though.
Well, I don't know if that's even a plausibility through the platform that we use.
Probably not.
Anyway, so yeah, we hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and we are going to be signing out from the ritual chamber. Just make sure that you don't ever say that you're going to be right back.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Hey, I'm just actually trying to like...
No, I appreciate that.
You try to read one of these words. My handwriting's shit, and I wrote it on my knee. So it makes it even worse.
All right, ready?
Well, I mean, I felt there was a moment of silence. You didn't have to 3, 2, 1.
Okay, all right, ready? Let's go.
3, 2, 1. Sorry.
Oh my god!
It's the fucking finger point. That's what gets me. Because I'm looking at you, so the finger point. It's so aggressive.
Okay. All right.
All right. Ready?
All right. I won't point at you.